Be'ezrat Hashem, Siyata Dishmaya, tonight, Sunday night, which is already the 5th day of the month of Shvat, as we know that at night, that's when the day starts by in Torah, in the Bible. So tonight is the 5th of the Shvat, which is also Sunday night going into Monday, which is the 2nd day of the week. The parasha is Beshalach, Be'ezrat Hashem. Beshalach is, Baruch Hashem, is talking about the final redemption, which was by the Yam, the Kriyas Yam Suf, right? And then the man. And there's a lot of lessons to be learned. Hashem, there's plenty to learn. However, we are, as promised, right after the winter break. I hope it's over, right? The winter break. No more skipping. Baruch Hashem, no more winter break. We're starting to learn a new topic. The topic is how to do this concept of element. If you take a look in the entire Talmud Bavli, looks like the sages had a meal, and a hearty meal, and it took like maybe 3, 4, 5 hours. And we're not talking about that they ate steaks all day. We're not talking about like a wedding, but it sounds like their meal took a long time. So maybe we'll hit it. There's many halachot. Well, the Rav wants to start. Siman Kuf Nun Chet starts right away with obviously the most appropriate thing to do and most hygienic thing to do is to wash your hands when you up over the street. It's the first thing we teach our children. You were playing with the toys, those germs all over them. You come and you wash your hands, right? So there is a physical element, obviously, for hygienics and to remain healthy. You don't want to put into, even though your body, like there's a problem, right? You have a sweat. The Chazal tell us that if you have a sweat on your body, and it's the way Hashem made it think, so you might think that the same sweat comes out from my face is the same sweat that comes out on my back, is the same sweat comes out on my arm. Not at all. Each one is, as we know, that the pores of the body that opens up and releases the toxins. The sweat is very toxic. Allah says, one of the things we'll learn, touching your part of the body which has sweat, before you continue food, you must wash your hands again because of the toxicity. However, HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a miracle. Look at this face, right? So I think that I have my what's his name? A sweat comes down here from my head. No. The Chazamim tell us also that from the scalp, from the forehead, all the way down, every part of the hair that's covering, that sweat is also toxic. And it will never happen. Your body is designed in a certain way that none of that toxic will ever go into your face. Because it's very poison. So that's why if you have a lot of sweat on your face, and it goes into your mouth, that doesn't kill you because it's Hashem made a preservation over there, and it's not harmful. But Alachar demands, anytime you touch with your hands, either the head or any other part of your body which does also sweat, you must wash your hands again, because again, there's a very big great caution, and the Halacha in the Torah says, "V'nishmartem me'od lenafshotechem." What's the extent of that statement? It has been, I tell you right now, it's been widely abused. It is widely abused. A Jew has to be very cautious. Like today, everybody's screaming about Kemach Yashan, which is, again, the argument to that I'm going to end with this. Before you open your mouth and ask somebody, do you sell Kemach Yashan? You should know the rule. And the question to one answer, you'll know, and you'll stop talking about this non-topic. The question is very simple. What is the American turnaround of the wheat gathered? I found out yesterday through a deep research, and it's hidden from the public because they don't want to kill the industry. It's not less than 3 years. So I dare anybody come out there and scream to people, eat yashan and business. It's mamash shod. It's an avera.
People ask the source. What's the source?
Go look. That's it. That's the source. The source is go and do your homework. What's the government demand? Government demand controls everything in America. And one of the controlling is food. If you don't have food, you don't have a country. So the food is controlled in America, and they control the turnaround, and they control the distribution of wheat. You can't just do whatever you want. Okay? And again, the turnaround in America, I discovered, which is hidden, 3 years minimum of turnaround of wheat in America. Okay, let's go back 3 parashiyot and parashat of Miketz. What's the turnaround over there, by the way? Of wheat? It was 9 years to 10 years and maybe even 14 years. Because remember, Yosef had to collect wheat, storing it from the first day till the last day of 14 years. That wheat had to last. So this baloney, somebody comes around and makes up this nonsense. For so much so they're destroying businesses left and right. Oh, this business is no longer Yashan. This Hashgacha. Do me a favor, you start with a sheker and you continue with the sheker. A Jew has to be very meticulous. What comes out of his mouth, to be very cautious, not to lie and to be honest. We're going to be learning.
You said that you don't have lechem yashan to eat.
Today's no chadash. There is no chadash in a shuk at all, unless you get it directly from a farmer. Finished. You cannot try. You cannot even. So that's it. That's the bottom line. Just why I threw it in, because you know what? We have to be very meticulous what comes out of our mouth. So now again,
I didn't understand what is the connection.
you'll listen to the tape. You understand?
Okay.
I'm just, sometimes I have to throw it out. What bothers me, sometimes in my mind, if I don't let it out, it just boils up and explodes. But there is connection. I made some connection. Okay, let's go, gentlemen. But the car is, be very cautious with what you're saying, because whatever comes out of your mouth, you must do. We can't be, Rahman al-Insan, there's reports, this group, this Jewish group, that, everybody's trying to pick out Jews, right? We go, one thing that was bothering me about this, I'm not going to say the name of it on the video now, there's a group that's called the Cult and Balagan. One thing that disturbed me is, somebody said that they don't allow learning all this Gemarot. The best way you see any Jew that comes out, any group that comes here and tells you you're not supposed to be learning Gemarot, and you're not supposed to be doing anything like, the main Rishonim, no, learn only my books. Run away from such a Yiddishkeit. It's not Yiddishkeit. Yiddishkeit is we have availability to learn, and just disturbs me. Before I came to Shiur, I was exposed to this garbage that it hurts me a lot. But B'ezrat Hashem, I just gave a little hint. But let's go into the reality over here. Today is Kuf Nun Chet. Dinei Netilat Yadayim. Rabbi Abraham, please start us off. We're on page Memvav. Okay? The importance of Netilat Yadayim. And again, the Chazal, we will see that the Chazal were very meticulous in the Seudah. One of the most important things is to wash your hands, to be hygienic. Okay, Baruch Hashem. And we'll see that there was going to be also another thing that the Chazal will teach us, Ma'im Achronim, washing hands after a meal, how that important it is. That's how saved a lot of Jews in the long run. And people are saved, and will be examples brought down. Just here, a beautiful story the Rabbi just told us. A beautiful story out of blue. You think if you hear something, but you implement it and you see in the end, it's going to save you and it's going to help you. And here the Chazal are very meticulous in one of the important things. Yes, when you come out home and you're about to eat anything, make sure you wash your hands. Be very cautious in that, and that's how B'ezrat Hashem Rabbi Abraham is going to start us off. One second, where are you holding? Give us Hakdama. Yeah, let's do that. Washing hands for a meal. Ubo. There's 13 halachot in this Siman 158. First halacha. So 1 second. So here a person is about to start a meal that requires for him to say a special bracha. So if that meal, right? That meal again, the rabbis doesn't mean that you shouldn't wash your hands. Of course, like we just said, you touched anything that has nothing pertaining to the meal, wash your hands. Today.
It's also like spiritual, like the things that you.
No. Talk about physical now. Forget about spirituality for now. 1 second.
Okay.
Look at the cell phone. You see the cell phone? You know how many germs it now has? You touched it. You touched money. You touched anything before you start eating something. Wash your hands. Now, no. Wash your hands. Soap. Wash your hands before you eat. That's all.
But the phone is the dirtiest.
What?
Because you touch the phone.
Yeah. I was one of my daughters was born preemie, and they actually almost confiscated my phones before I walked into the ICU. Okay, or that room, wherever the preemies are. The nurse told me. I remember that. That was 12 years ago almost. Excuse me, Mr. Sofer, you should know that a cell phone is the dirtiest thing in the world. So you think, what is the big deal? So clean, right? No, it has germs and it's going to harm you. Wash your hands with soap. Continue eating. But here, we're saying like this. Where are you coming to eat hamotzi? You're going to have to say the bracha. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Hashem gives blessing of sustenance, hamotzi lechem, the bread of this world, you must wash your hands. Even you just came from a mincha, right? You just prayed mincha. What do we do mincha? Arvit, you wash your hands before prayer. So I just prayed. I didn't do anything. I didn't touch anything outside. Maybe I should continue with that hands. Says Shulchan Aruch, no. Shulchan Aruch says, for washing for bread, you must make that netilah. You must make that special washing. Continue. אבל
לפת שאין מברכים עליו המוציא, כגון לחמניות, דקות או פת הבאה בכסנין, ואינו קובע סודותו עליהם, אין צריך נטילת ידיים.
Good. So netilat yadayim. Let's just again. Shulchan Aruch is telling, when he says over here, if you're eating anything else, you don't need to do netilat yadayim. Again, he means netilat yadayim for which you make a blessing. Al netilat yadayim. But that is not required. So if you're eating, let's say a cake, a piece of cake. Somebody served you a piece of cake, somebody served you walnuts, I don't care what. There, you don't have to go and wash special washing that will require you to make a bracha. There you, again, like we said, you wash regularly and then that's it. But so Shulchan Aruch tells us netilah. So what's going on here? Says Mishnah Berurah, look inside, Shiyavo, when a person is about to start eating pot, special bread that requires a special dressing, right? Hamotze. Why is that Shulchan Aruch telling us this? Because there are other pots. Other bread. What is bread that people today make? Special bread in Mexico. What do they make bread in Mexico from? Tortilla. Everything is from corn there, right? People make bread from corn. People make bread from rice. Rice bread. They have different types of bread. So Shulchan Aruch says the only bread that requires a special blessing before it, when you wash your hands, is hamotze, specifically the one that you're going to make hamotze, which is what? Made out of 5 grains. Which are what? You have wheat. You have wheat, then you have seorah, barley, right? Then you have oats, spelt, and... Come on, gentlemen. We have wheat, barley, right, that's right. So good. So Rabbi Yaakov, thank you. So we have wheat, barley. By the way, I have to say it now, many people don't know this rule. The Gemara says out specifically, if anybody eats whole wheat bread, don't be surprised if you're going to become poor.
Wow.
That's what he says.
Really?
And the reason is, right? He says the reason is because whole wheat is what? You have to understand what does whole wheat means. Wheat is supposed to be clean from all the dirt that it has, all the protective that God, when it grows, the shell. So whole wheat is that you're grinding a grain in order what? In order to make it bigger quantity. So it says because of that, Hashem guarantees, the Gemara says it will be guaranteed that the person who eats consumes whole wheat. Today they brainwashed us all. They're thinking it's healthy. It's not healthy at all. There's certain things you're not allowed to eat. It's the shell that you're eating of a whole wheat has nothing to do with the wheat.
No, but it has more protein. It has more fiber. The shell. I'm saying what it has.
Who told you that?
Nutritionist.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you. That's right. That's right. The Gemara tells you no.
He didn't charge me anything. He didn't charge me.
No. I'm just saying. The Gemara says no, and I'm gonna listen to the nutritionist. Apparently, they know more than the Gemara. I understand. Listen. What can I do? No. I'm just saying. That's what it is. That people on YouTube that hear us will say the same words as you're saying, and probably a lot of nutritionists are watching, and they're gonna say, "Oh, Rabbi Sofer doesn't know what he's talking about." You're right. You know better than the Gemara. What should I tell you? Okay, good. The Gemara says that brings poverty because you're doing it for either. And by the way, I don't know how they save your money. They actually charge more money. I heard. For fake stuff. For fake stuff.
You're selling more and you charge
poison.
more.
Oh, by the way, barley, the Gemara says, will cause you stomachache if you eat wheat bread from barley. Barley wheat. The Gemara says that takes longer to digest. Poor people eat barley. But it doesn't say it will make you poor. Just in contrast, whole wheat will make you poor. It says clearly.
Chamin usually has barley. No?
Oh yeah, so he says barley is not good for digestion. Takes a long time. It's animal food.
It's good like for the...
Wheat bread. Wheat.
Sourdough.
Number 1.
Sourdough.
Not sourdough. Wheat bread.
Wheat bread.
Wheat.
Without yeast.
What?
Without yeast.
Only without yeast, of course. That's the business I promote now, right? Okay. Okay, gentlemen, I only promote what's real. Nothing else. Nothing fake. Says Shulchan Mishnah Berurah. כשיבוא טעם תקנת נטילת הוא משני דברים. So again, Adama. Amen. So the Rabbi, Mishnah Berurah explains, what is the purpose that they established washing your hands with the tilah, with the cup, and the whole thing, and there's a whole spiritual washing? What is going on here? He says two reasons. Echad mipnei srach teruma. Okay, we're afraid that what there is some connotation. Maybe there's truma in the bread, right? If there's maybe truma, at least you're like a kohen who was pure. At least if there was. Again, there is no. We're not allowed to eat truma, but maybe there is. Okay. והיינו כיוון דידיים עסקניות הן נוגעות בכל דבר, and because we know that our hands are what? They're very busy. Our hands are always busy, touching something always. Right? Christopher, you touch here a little bit, and you touch there a little bit, and you touch there a little bit, sometimes without clothing. Because your hands are, you're only paying attention. That's a normal transaction. I see that we have sometimes people unfortunately, they come to Mincha Arabit with shorts. And the guy doesn't even pay attention. He's scratching his tie under the shirt. He has to go wash his hand. He doesn't even know that. Yeah. Can continue praying. Okay. So he says, because the hands are constantly askaniyot, says the Mishnah Berurah. Okay. ובזמן שהיה נוהג טומאה וטהרה בכהנים אכלו תרומה, since in the olden days that the truma were consumed by the kohanim, which is Hashem, hopefully by the Yorson, and guys, bribe the kohanim because hopefully they'll be nice to kohanim. They'll treat you better when they bring you sacrifices first. Okay, that's a side note. Okay. היו צריכים ליטול ידיהם מדברי סופרים קודם אכילת תרומה. The sages established for the kohanim to wash their hands before they would consume truma, כדי שלא יטמאוה בנגיעתן. Because if their hands have any impurity, that will disqualify the truma, and they won't be able to eat it. So for that memory, the rabbis told we all should wash our hands. Can you imagine this? How many kohanim in the Jewish nation already? How many already kohanim we have? Not so many. The Jewish nation, right? We have 13 shvatim. We have 13 shvatim. In 13 shvatim, out of 13 shvatim, we have a chelik katan who had the least children. Kohanim, by the way, had the least children. Okay, Leviim at least, and the Kohanim were even smaller than that. What is it? 7,000 or something like that? No, 7,000. 2,000. 22,000 Leviim, right? How many Kohanim were there? No, less. What am I talking about? 2,000. Much less. I mean, what am I talking? 22,000 were Leviim. Kohanim was the family of Aaron, Mishpachat Kohanim. Yeah, it was not so many. I'm not exaggerating here. So here we see what importance. Remember, Torah is teaching us how to love other person. In order for Kohanim not to have the problem with eating the truma with tuma hands, Rabbanim said all Jews should wash their hands. Amazing. That's how Hashem is. Rabbi said, all about loving the next neighbor. That in order for Kohanim to be accustomed to this, גזרו גם כן על כל איש ישראל האוכל פת שאסור לאכול עד שייטול ידיו. Every Jew, the Hazal said, in order for the Kohanim to get accustomed to it and to have a problem, Rabbi said all Jews should wash their hands. וגם עכשיו, שאין הכהנים אוכלים תרומה מפני הטומאה, but today no Kohen eats תרומה. You ate תרומה ever? Don't touch. Anybody tells you Truma, don't touch. Even worse. Lo batla takana zu. However, says the rabbi explains to us, since today we don't have Kohanim eating Truma, and it's asur actually, it's forbidden for them to eat Truma because of the safek. Still, we're continuing with the minhag that the rabbis established to wash our hands. Why? So here, somebody asks you, why are we washing hands? So one of the reasons is that when the Beit HaMikdash will be rebuilt, we should already have it automatically in our system. Go wash your hands properly for the service and obviously to be able all the time betara. So that was the first reason, says Chafetz Chaim. But I'm going to give you another one. He says, Mishum nikiyut ukdusha. Another reason is the hygienics and just holiness, just the aspect of holiness, to be clean and holy. And the Torah tells you that there's a pasuk in the Torah that says that dictates to Jewish people to be constantly holy, and that's one of the elements. One of the elements is to be always. What makes a Jew holy and unholy? An unholy Jew is not so meticulous. He doesn't care what he does. A holy Jew is a little bit more meticulous. He is medagdek on what words come out of his mouth. He is medagdek on what clothing he puts on. He's medagdek. He's very much worried that the community should not look down on him, should not disregard him, because yes, it's not our obligation to exist together and to represent. We're always representing ourselves to Goyim, to our children. We're always teachers by behavior. Says Mishnah Berurah, that's another reason. The reason is to set an example and to be a little bit elevated and sanctified.
So we come into shul, wash our hands,
Right.
and then we shake somebody's hand. We don't know if they washed their hands. The problem?
Tumah does not transfer by touching hands. Tumah primarily transfers with wet hands. You shouldn't touch his wet hands. Yes. The wet hands, the Chachamim have that, but regular Tumah, you should not be worried about. A roll, not a roll. Somebody comes in, he didn't wash his hands, you shake his hand. That's the best thing in the world to show the ahava. That's the best way ahava. The physical contact, they say, the scientists, is the best remedy, the best healing, best everything. It has everything. The sense of I'm wanted, I'm desired. I'm wanted and desired. I have a student at some certain places he doesn't want to go because just by them looking at the attitude, like but Baruch Hashem over here, Rabbi Sharabani, hug them, too much. I say too much. Now I'm obligated to do the same thing. yeah. Affection. So hands shaking, you should not make a mistake. It does not transfer tumah. Only when your hands are wet. That's why we will learn later on. One of the things is going to be if you washed your hands already, right? And now the other person did not wash his hands yet, and his hands is a little bit wet. You touch his hands, you have to wash your hands again. Okay, we'll see that later. Bet lechol pat, specifically talking about eating bread. Says Mishnah Berurah, leapuki al pirot. But wait a minute. To exclude eating fruits, he says Mishnah Berurah. Why? We learn over there if you're eating wet fruits, what are you supposed to do? So we learn in Halacha 5 tells us specifically if you're just coming to eat apples, wet apples, or what's his name, grapes, which is very common. People want to eat grapes and Shabbat and all those things. So what do you do there? So we learn in Halacha 5 about it. Yes.
But you like if you touch like the
wet fruits, you must wash your hands again. But what kind of netilah do you make a bracha? We'll see. That's going to be discussed in Halacha 5.
Fruits, I thought vegetables too.
Anything, yeah. Any fruit. Fruit, I mean vegetable fruits. Okay. V'hata'am, and over there we'll explain, she'en rova truma ela miminei pat. He says, another element over here is that the bread was one of the most essential truma. That was the...
Do you have to dry vegetables before you cut them up for a salad?
Again, if your hands are not tameh, there's no problem. If you wash your hands before you handle the fruits, no problem at all. Your hands could be wet also, and the fruit could be wet. As long as you did the netilah right now, no problem at all. The only problem is if you didn't do
What
netilah.
I'm saying is that you wash the vegetables.
Right. So if you're asking differently,
vegetables
the
are wet.
juice of the vegetables or fruits will not make your hands tameh. Let's say you didn't care.
No, I'm not saying that.
What do you want to say?
You wash the vegetables.
Yes.
They're still wet.
Yes.
You're cutting up the vegetables to make salad.
Good. Did you wash your hands the 6 times appropriately before touching those hands? No. Then you have a problem. Yes. You must wash your hands before you cut the fruit.
Even though you're washing the vegetable with your hands,
right?
It's not enough. You have to
No, before you wash your vegetables, you have to wash your hands. You must remove all doubt from your hands, and only then wash the fruits and vegetables. Yes.
Just if it dry, if you did it dry, it's different.
Right. Okay. דכתיב ראשית דגנך ואין דרך לאכול מיני דגן אלא אחר שעושים ממנו פת. So what the main element was with washing hands for bread, because that was the main element of truma. לא גזרו גם כן נטילה אלא באופן זה לבוש. Okay. שמברכין עליו המוציא. So which bread? Specifically bread. דלא תקנו אלא בדבר שקובעים סעודה עליו. Right? So meaning again, the halacha is if you're making meal out of corn bread or rice bread, it's not real meal. It's not called seuda, according to Shulchan Aruch and halacha. What do you want to say, Rabbi Yaakov? Okay. Itol yadav. So now, what does it mean? Wash your hands. Shtei yadav. Ubekli. Says Mishnah Berurah, washing your hands for a meal cannot be done out of a faucet. Has to be done with a utensil. You must take a utensil. ואף אם אוכל רק באחת הישנן שיגע גם בשנייה האחרונים. הישנן. Now the guy says, you know what? I never eat my food with my left hand. I'm a righty. Righty. You know, there's some people like me. I don't use a knife, even on a steak, unfortunately. I don't know. Yeah, I use a fork, Baruch Hashem. That's me. I don't know. I grew up, we could handle everything with one hand. Literally, my wife was like, what are you doing? There's a knife right next to you. I have a fork, Baruch Hashem. You know, it's old trade. I guess old trick. And that's how I eat. So the guy says, I'm not going to eat with my left hand. Why should I wash my left hand? No. The rabbi said, wash your left hand. Both hands must be washed because we were afraid, because now the steak is too hard. They made it medium, unfortunately. You know, the medium steak is dangerous to eat. It has to be done properly. It's actually against halakha. Look at Rashi over there on the explanation. This parasha, right? Lo tuchlu menu na. Maze lo tuchlu menu na. You're not allowed to eat half or rare, medium or rare.
So medium well is a problem?
No, medium well is fine. It's, as long as it's well, it's done. Medium well is mostly the whole thing is grilled, so it's fine. But the medium rare, this is if you have blood or red or that it's raw, it's actually dangerous for you to consume
But
it.
it's not actual blood.
What?
It's not just juice from the bone.
No, you could see it's red. If you see it's not cooked, 100%. Now, and it's not appropriate to eat such thing. And by the way, what's healthier, Rabbi Avram? Here I'm going to say something that's going to shock you. What's healthier, to eat half raw cooked meat or raw meat?
What, healthy?
What's healthier? Raw meat.
Raw meat?
Raw meat, yeah.
Why?
Slice it like a zeh, because again, the half raw. I guess the first of all, the halakha says not to eat half raw, half cooked. So half cooked has a problem. Half cooked has a problem. There's a physical problem also.
So not cooked is better.
Not cooked, if not cooked, to compare it to half cooked, yeah, better than not cooked.
The cooked one.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's continue. אלא בדבר שקובעים סעודה עליו, יטול ידיו שתי ידיו, ואף אם אוכל רק באחת, אוקיי. וכשיטול ידיו, טוב שיטול ימין תחילה, כדי שהשמאל תשמש לימין. So now, a few more seconds, Habibi, a few more seconds. Let's just go to Vav, yeah? The boss is calling, okay. So he says, when you're washing your hands, you wash your what? Your right hand first, and then you wash your left hand. Says Ish Matzliach. I was going to ask you to read it, but you're busy. Number 3. ואין חילוק אם נוטל הוא בעצמו או עם אחרים. Now, what about other people wash your hands? If other people wash your hands, same thing. They wash from your right hand. Right? They should wash your right hand first. Let's say a child comes to wash the parents' hands, which is very exemplary, very good thing, right? So you should make sure that they pour after they wash their hands first. Again, you can't wash, somebody will learn later on, that you can't wash hands to somebody else if your hands are not washed. So there's a lot of rules involved in that, and let's see. The guy doesn't know. He just davened Arvit. What do you want from me? From Arvit, he lives right here, Yosef Tulila. From the shul, he went home. His hands are not tameh. Says, still you have to wash your hands. Baruch Adonai L'olam, amen v'amen. Bezat Hashem, with Hashem's help, we'll continue B'siyata L'shmaya tomorrow, and hopefully without any other ideas. Thank you for joining us. תהיו ברוכים ותצליחו. תראו הרבה נחת from all the ideas to you.